I wanted to do this video about getting a private money lender hard commit. I have been asked about this situation many, many times, and I think there's a little misconception on when the private money lender hard commit should happen. And since I do have experience with this, I thought I'd do a video about this. So here's how it starts. The first step is you are going to obviously be working with a private money lender lead, which means at some point you either had a early level discussion with a potential private money lender. I like to divide this into three parts before you can actually even get a lead, which would be a proper lead, which means you probably had a casual discussion with a private money lender. That's where you need to use your 15 to 30-second verbal pitch about your business model. And then at that point, they may either ask you to send them some information. That's when you do a one-page investment summary. That can be email. However, the next step, once you get that lead, is actually to get them on a one-on-one presentation. This is exactly what I do, and it works really well. The key here is that the presentation has to be done live. Never email or send them the information ahead of time. Do this presentation either in person. That way you need to have a print copy of your pitch deck. So that is what you're going to be using in this one-on-one presentation, your full pitch deck, which should be pretty detailed. I do have other videos if you want to check on my channel about how to develop your own pitch deck. So your pitch deck is what you're going to use on that one-on-one presentation, whether, like I said, in person or if it's online. Now, your purpose on doing this presentation is to get some kind of a commitment. And I think that's where a lot of people get lost. They're not sure. They think they have this meeting and the meeting doesn't end with any kind of a conclusion. But I wanted to show you, because this video is about when and how to get a hard commit from a private money lender. So what people miss is what happens towards the end of the one-on-one presentation. In my experience, there are only three things that could happen. Number one, towards the end of the presentation, after you've gone through the entire presentation about your business model, about your business, sample deals, financials, and the time comes in when you have to know whether they're interested in working with you. And so the three things that could happen: number one, they could just come out and say, this is not something for me, and I'd like to pass on this opportunity. Great. So you know that they're not interested. However, the most common answer that you might get is, this is interesting, let me think about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only issue is you need to have some kind of a CRM setup so you can put those leads in your CRM for later follow-up. Now, the third kind is where the issue happens. The third answer is, this sounds great. I'd love to work with you. And here's what I was thinking. This is what your potential private money lender might say. And it's very common. When you have a deal under contract, reach back out to me, and then we'll go from there. Now, most inexperienced operators think that, great, we have a PML on board. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today, on where this misunderstanding is. In my opinion, at that stage, you've actually literally lost that potential private money lender. And what I suggest, and this is what I do, is to have a formal onboarding process. Now, this onboarding process will ensure that you actually get to a hard commit. And this is exactly what I do, so I will explain that to you. So that onboarding, when that onboarding happened, it can only happen when somebody says, I'm interested in working with you. Let me tell you about my coaching program, Capital Raising Mastery System, that was specially created for intermediate and advanced real estate investors. Program includes advanced strategy systems and tools for raising private money, and full lifetime access to on-demand training, weekly coaching calls, and access to members-only community. Learn how I raised money to build my own $1 million plus portfolio in 2 years, all by raising money from private money lenders. Learn how you can duplicate my success by following my step-by-step training and access to community of my students successfully raising money now. Details about the capital raising mastery system are in the descriptions below. Or you can join my private money raisers club community. It is ideal for beginners or relatively new real estate investors. So when somebody says that to me, I like to have them do something, what I like to call a micro commit or a micro commitment. And this is how it goes. I tell them, great, I am happy that you're ready to work with me. I do have some requirements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email those requirements to you within 24 hours. And once I receive the documentation and the information I'm requesting, we will go into the next step. So in other words, I'm the one controlling the conversation. They're not the one saying that, hey, when you have a property under contract, reach back out to me. That's not what's happening. What's happening is I'm telling them what needs to happen. And what I require from them during that follow-up email generally is I require some kind of proof of fund via email. And then I would ask them for some kind of a picture ID just for my records. Now, I found that people who are interested and really interested in working with me, this is not a problem. It's a very easy process, and they will, have proof of funds and an ID sent out to me right away. Now, when they don't do this, that is a sign that they're not even willing to do this, which means it's going to be very hard for you to get a hard commit from people like these. So that's why it's very important to understand that the hard commit and the conversation that happens towards the end of a one-on-one presentation, there's a big gap. And I'm going to now show you exactly how to close that gap. So when my micro commit comes through, which means the private money lender actually sends me a copy of proof of funds and their picture ID, the next thing what I do is I give them password access to my investor portal. Now, you don't have to have an investor portal, but this is how I operate. What it does to my private money lenders is that when they log into my portal, they can now see the properties that I put under contract. So I'm not specifically bringing them the properties are listed on my investor portal. And there are property listings, and when they click on those listings, they can actually see details about these properties. So now when I say property listing, I'm talking about specifically properties that are in the pipeline, some of the properties I'm working on right now, and the properties that are currently have commitments with other investors, they are also there. But specifically the properties that are available. So when they click on those listings, they can actually see all my due diligence, all the research that I've already done for them. Now, right there, right on that property listing, I have the option for them to click on and do something what I call a property commitment. Now, that property commitment is what I call a hard commitment, because once they complete a property commitment form, which is connected to that listing, what that tells them and what I have them confirm is the property listing has a close date. So they have to confirm by completing that form by saying that, yes, I realize that this property has to close on this date, and yes, I'm ready to fund this property on this date. So do you see, this is what I call a hard commit. You don't get a hard commit when you just end a presentation. You have to walk them through a full onboarding process to make that happen. Now, my onboarding process is a little bit more sophisticated, but you don't have to be. You can have a very simple process through which you guide them through in your own procedure. Hopefully this was helpful for you. I'll see you next time. Thanks.